हम ज्यादा बोलना नहीं चाहते हैं, आपका दर्द समझना चाहते हैं।
अब तो लेके रहेंगे ना, सहो मत, डरो मत, सहो मत, डरो मत।
आपके साथ हिंदुस्तान का अगला जो विजन होगा, हिंसा का नहीं, नफरत का नहीं, मोनोपोलीज का नहीं,
हम पहुंचेंगे हर घर तक, गली मोहल्ला संसद तक, हम पहुंचेंगे हर घर तक।
हारमोनियस, इक्विटेबल और भाईचारे का विजन हम आपके साथ मिलकर वो हम हिंदुस्तान के सामने रखने जा रहे हैं।
चली 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 भारत जोड़ो न्याय यात्रा।
जी के तहत रजिस्ट्रेशन भी करवा लिया है, तो समाज के जो भी लोग आयकर और प्रतिवेदन के लिए समिति का
ओंकार लाल जी भाटी जो इस
हम ज्यादा बोलना नहीं चाहते हैं के साथ मिलकर वो हम हिंदुस्तान के सामने रखने जा रहे हैं।
चली 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 भारत जोड़ो न्याय यात्रा।
किसान के बच्चों को सम्मानित किया, कितने काम कर रही है। मैं ये मानता हूँ कि राजस्थान
बोलेंगे लब चाहे आजाद नहीं, मांगा है हक कोई फरियाद नहीं। रोज पसीना बहाए अपमान सहे, गरीब का घर फिर भी आबाद नहीं। कहाँ है न्याय, कहाँ है न्याय? काम की खोज है पैरों में है छाले, हक को तरसते भारत बनाने वाले। हर जुबां पे है ताले, बोल किसने डाले? है गुरूर जैसा सच छुपाने वाले। अब तो लेके रहेंगे न्याय। सहो मत, डरो मत, सहो मत, डरो मत। हम पहुंचेंगे हर घर तक, न्याय का हक मिलने तक। हम पहुंचेंगे हर घर तक, न्याय का हक मिलने तक। कितने गरीबों का स्वाभिमान लुट गया, गरीबों से पूछो। कितने युवाओं का सपना टूटा, युवाओं से पूछो। कितनी नारियां सम्मान को तरस रही, नारी के मन से पूछो। हाथ से जुड़े हाथ सब देशवासी साथ, सबके हक के लिए न्याय की करेंगे बात। गरीब किसान सारे मजदूर हक के मारे, मिल के जब बढ़ेंगे तो न्याय लेंगे सारे। हम पहुंचेंगे हर घर तक, गली मोहल्ला संसद तक, न्याय का हक मिलने तक, न्याय का हक मिलने तक। चली 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 भारत जोड़ो न्याय यात्रा।
भारत जोड़ो न्याय यात्रा, पहुंचेंगे हम घर घर तक, न्याय का हक मिलने तक।
इस समिति द्वारा इस शानदार उपलब्धि लगातार 26 वर्षों से शानदार कार्य करते हुए विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में अपनी प्रतिभा का लोहा मनवाने वाले प्रतिभाशाली छात्र छात्राओं का विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में राज की सेवा में जाने वाले महानुभावों का सम्मान करती आ रही है। आज ये बहुत ही हमारे लिए सौभाग्य का विषय है, सौभाग्य का क्षण है कि आज इस ऐतिहासिक समारोह में हमारे सत्यवीर सिंह जी मुख्य अतिथि के द्वारा और विशिष्ट अतिथिगण के द्वारा इस पुस्तिका का विमोचन किया गया। पूरा हौसला वो मंदिर भी आएगा।
Mathura was attacked again and again and again. So nothing has survived, and what has survived is by accident.
Okay,
In none of the cases did the Eidgah party win.
I see.
And the court also told them that you're behaving like hardened litigants when you're going on filing case after case, when we've told you that it is, you have no locus standi in the matter. When the Allahabad High Court asked the Muslim party, please show us one bit of evidence of your presence for 300 years, where is your voice? We don't get anything. But on the TV channels, when this case came into the limelight last year, they interviewed many ordinary Muslims and they said, why are you raking this up now? 1968 में तो agreement हो गया है.
Okay. Welcome back. It's great to see you all again. The following is a conversation with Padma Shri awardee Dr. Meenakshi Jain. Dr. Jain is a noted Indian political scientist and historian. She is the author of many books, many very impactful books, and she's one of the most relevant and impactful historians in India today. In this conversation, we discuss the case of the Ram Janmabhoomi issue, the Krishna Janmabhoomi, and various other relevant issues that are relevant to the work that she does. So enjoy the conversation and don't forget to like and subscribe. Meenakshi Jain ji, welcome back to the Abhijit Chawla podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It is such a pleasure to have you, ma'am, and a privilege as well.
Privilege for me too.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So the last time we had discussed Sati, we did a virtual podcast.
Yes.
It's finally great to have you face to face.
Yeah, me too.
And I would like to discuss, I would like to learn from you about a number of things. So for example, I am not really well versed in medieval Indian history. I have not really studied the Ram Janmabhoomi case, the Krishna Janmabhoomi case. It's painful. So that's why I've kept away from it. But I would, and you have been instrumental through your work, through your research, in fortifying the case, in providing the evidence that led to the court judgment in favor of the Ram Janmabhoomi trust in the Hindus. So I would like to learn about the history of this entire matter, the temple, the history behind it, and the court case, and how it was cracked from you. So could you please?
Before I begin discussing the Ram Mandir case,
Yes.
As a historian, I would like to tell you that every case of temple vandalism in the medieval period has been documented by people who vandalized the temple. And it is also not so well known that the people who were affected, that means the ordinary devotees, the temple priests and all that, from the time that any temple was demolished, they made concerted efforts to rebuild the temple. So obviously when they tried to rebuild the temple could not be of the scale and grandeur of the temple that had been destroyed, because we must realize that political power was not in the hands of the worshippers, and nor did they have that economic might. So in many cases, they rebuilt those temples in a very small, humble way.
Okay.
But they kept the name of the original temple alive. So, you will see Somnath, before we come to Ayodhya.
Yes.
Somnath was destroyed again and again and again.
Yes.
We know that it was destroyed first by Mahmud Ghaznavi, and perhaps we do not know that the last time it was destroyed was by Emperor Aurangzeb. So there are a series of attacks. Alauddin Khalji attacked it, all well documented. Now the question can arise that if the temple was demolished by Mahmud Ghaznavi, why was it attacked again and again and again? And the simple answer is that the devotees went on building that Somnath temple. So this is a story that is, so inspiring and so humbling that, ordinary devotees, they were just so committed to their deity that they could not bear the thought that there will be no shrine to that deity. So, and the last attempt was by Aurangzeb when he was over 80 years old.
Okay.
So Aurangzeb sends a farman to his governor in Gujarat and says, these Hindus, they have the capacity to go on and on worshipping at those shrines. So now you go to Somnath and make sure that they have not revived worship at that place. And if they have, then destroy it in such a manner that it can never be, worship cannot take place at that shrine again. So, when we make these unworthy comments that the temples were attacked only for their wealth, when the temples were being attacked, there was no wealth attached to them. They were small, modest structures. But every time they kept the same name. The Somnath temple may have been built 6 times, but it always kept the name Somnath. So that is a stirring story, which unfortunately has receded from our memory in the last 40-50 years.
Okay.
that we can discuss later. But this is a story that as you mentioned, it's very evident in Ayodhya. It is so well documented in the case of Mathura, with inscriptions going back. We'll come to that later.
Yes.
But to come to the Ram temple. You see, the Ram temple is the first case where the Hindus have actually got back a site after 500 years of struggle, and that through court intervention. But during the time that they did not have any power and that masjid has been built over there, they never surrendered that site. That is the most, when I studied this phenomena at Ayodhya, I was not aware that this is replicated in every sacred site that we want to study.
Okay.
So in Ayodhya, we know that the temple was destroyed by Babur in 1528. And perhaps not so well known is the fact that the masjid party in court was not able to produce one bit of evidence to show that they were there from 1528 to 1858.
Okay.
That means for over 300 years, there is no evidence of Muslim presence at that site. Now, what does it mean? It means it's a case of smash and grab. That Babur just wanted to demolish a particular temple. And he occupied that space, and that's the end of the story.
Okay.
Perhaps there were not that many Muslims to offer namaz over there. But the fact is that when we talk about contesting claims, the Hindu claim at that site is so well documented that it is amazing. Now, I would like to give you the first evidence that we have. It is of an English traveler to India. His name was William Finch. He came around 1604 or 1608. So he is traveling wherever he is going, he is writing his account.
Okay.
And he doesn't know that this account is going to be used 400-500 years later.
Right.
So in any case, he comes to Ayodhya and he goes to that site. And he says that, Hindus come here, they take a dip in the Saryu river. And, there are Pandits who record the names of these people who have come. And when they go back, they take black burnt grain with them. Now, that is something which needs to be explained because that has a lot of significance.
Okay.
All right. Then the next account is by a Jesuit traveler. I can't call him a traveler because he lived in India for 40 years.
Okay.
And he even died in India and is buried in India.
I see.
So he wrote copiously because he was, he was interested in science, mathematics, so many other things. And in his work on Ayodhya, he lived in this area for 7 years.
Okay.
He lived in India for 40 years, but in this Awadh area for 7 years.
Okay.
And his account is very, very significant because he's the first person to say, he provides sketches of the building, and he's the first person to say that, the Hindus have created a Vedi. Vedi means Vedi or cradle.
Okay.
Cradle is for a newborn.
Of course.
So he says they have created a Vedi and they come and circumambulate around it. And on Ram Navami, he mentions Ram Navami, so many people come. So these are eyewitness accounts of Hindu presence at that site. And then, we have this officer of the Faizabad District Court. In 1822, he files a report in the Faizabad District Court and he says that Babri Masjid was built on the temple and it is next to Sita Ki Rasoi.
Okay.
So he is saying that Babri Masjid is built on the Janmasthan temple. After that, I forgot to mention one more thing. That, Akbar, Emperor Akbar, he gave 6 bighas of land to Hanuman Tila.
Okay.
Hanuman Tila is very near the Janamsthan in Ayodhya.
Okay.
And that grant that he gave had to be renewed about 100 years later by a subsequent Mughal emperor. So the grant is renewed, and the person who writes that imperial order, he says that, this emperor has renewed this grant for 6 bighas of land to Hanuman Tila. I am writing this imperial order. I'm writing it from the Janamsthan of Ram.
Okay.
He is writing in Persian.
Okay.
And he's just copying the imperial order so that it can be handed over to Hanuman Tila or wherever. And he's saying, I'm writing this imperial order from the Janamsthan of Ram. So, there are many of these accounts in Persian, in Urdu later on. And all these accounts that were written in the 18th, 19th century, they say that Babri Masjid was built on the site of the Ram temple.
Okay.
There is no account that I'm aware of that was written in the medieval period in Arabic, Persian or Urdu, which says that Babri Masjid was built on vacant land.
Okay.
They're all unanimous that it was built on the site of the Ram temple. And what is very interesting, I think it was Lord Ram trying to protect his territory, that, in the British period, many cases were filed between the Mahents and the Mutawallis of the masjid. Because the Mahents were, you see, when I talk about masjid, I have to clarify that there is a compound. In that compound, there is the masjid, and the rest is vacant land within the boundary. So, that means that the masjid people have come in at some point, we don't know when. Because for 300 years, they were not able to produce any evidence of their presence over there.
Okay.
So in 1857, there is the Great Revolt.
Yes.
And after that, the British actually become in charge of the administration of Awadh.
Okay.
So now they are the controlling authority.
Okay.
So from 1858, the judicial apparatus is under their control. So in Faizabad District Court, from 1858 till 1947, there are a series of cases which the two parties have filed against each other.
Okay.
And it's miraculous that no attempt was made to protect these valuable documents, and they survived intact until the cases came up for hearing in independent India.
I see.
So, the first case that comes up in the Faizabad District Court is an FIR
Okay.
filed by the Thanedar
Okay.
of Awadh. He says that, yesterday, 25 Nihang Sikhs have entered Babri Masjid. They started Havan and Puja, and I'm filing this report. And he says that in the walls of the masjid, they've written Ram Ram.
Nihang 6. Okay.
So this is the first report. So the next day, the Mutawalli means superintendent of Babri Masjid, he files a case in the British Faizabad court, and he says that, these people have entered and they have started Havan Puja, etc. And then he signs, because who's making this complaint? So he signs that I am the Mutawalli, Masjid at Janamsthan. Anywhere in the world, can you have a masjid named Janamsthan? That itself is a giveaway.
It is.
So, they were very conscious of what they were doing. Then, the revenue records of the British, British were very careful about collecting revenue. Wherever they went, the first thing they did was to prepare the revenue settlement. So in the British revenue settlements, this masjid is not mentioned at all.
Okay.
Babri Masjid is not mentioned. That area is mentioned as Janamsthan.
Okay.
And these British documents, revenue documents, were made public because in case you want to file an objection, that you have to have the papers.
Yeah.
So no objection was filed by the masjid party that why is it called Janamsthan. So, it is There's so many things, that no Waqf was prepared in 1944. UP government said a list of Waqf property of Shia and Sunni mosques should be prepared. So it was prepared.
What exactly is Waqf?
Waqf means that when you construct a masjid, there has to be some way of meeting the incurring expenses.
Okay.
Like in the sense the masjid has to be repaired.
Upkeep and all that.
Upkeep. The mutawalli has to be paid.
Yes.
When there is a special namaz, for whatever reason, special provisions have to be made.
Okay.
So when you have a masjid, you have to provide for its upkeep.
Okay.
So in the case of Babri Masjid, it is written that it was made in 1528, Emperor Babur. But Waqf, that column is left blank.
Okay.
Because why would